Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let Her Cook, brought to you by BSCN. I am Jackie Dutton, your hostess with the mostest. And today I've got my crystal ball out and we're going to do some predictive market platform information, some calls, and talk about generally what's up in this space because we've had some changes over the last week or so that have really affected some things. So we're going to get into it. The first thing I do want to talk about is the fact that Polymarket was finally given US approval to start up in the US. And, before people were using it with a VPN. Now you don't need to have a VPN. It just has full government regulated allowance and access for US based customers. And already, unsurprisingly, it is the number one betting or predictive market app in the App Store, maybe in total by far. And here is Shane Copeland. I think he is the founder of Polymarket, saying that was quicker than expected. So full approval of Polymarket, which was kind of the preferred crypto predictive market platform. And then Kalshi came along, and Kalshi actually went through all the right hoops to have full US approval according to the CFTC. And because Polymarket didn't go through those channels, they banned it in the US for a little bit. They've also systematically gone one by one in various countries and restricted access as well. It's probably just a money game at this point, right? You've got to pay to play, and you've got to grease the right hands and jump through the right hoops. Are they actually protecting anyone with all of these? Probably not. I mean, it's crypto. You buy it or you don't, right? They're not forcing anybody to use it. But, I do think maybe the space as a whole stands to be a little safer with a little bit of regulation. FTX. So, we're here. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, also kind of related to Polymarket, and this is just some general fun news, is that on 60 Minutes last night, this is one of Polymarket's biggest bettors had wagered more than $400 million so far. He says he made nearly $3 million last year alone on the platform. So this guy, his username, if I could scroll back to his face here, his username on Polymarket is Domer. And supposedly he wagers insane amounts. He used to be a professional poker player, and now this is apparently all he does. He wakes up and he wagers on the predictive market platforms. He claims, and in this interview, if you go watch this clip, he claims that he is betting on very, quote, well-researched, very well-researched free money, if you will, well-researched bets and predictions. In my opinion, what's probably happening is that he's looking at something that has pretty high yes odds, looks like a pretty guaranteed bet. And I know nothing is like fairly certain, but even if you have a bet that has like 90% odds of happening, and then the writing's on the wall, we're just waiting for official announcements. If you're betting with millions of dollars, 10% of that is still better than, people hoping the flip side happens, where it had a 90% odd of not happening, and you're hoping to turn $10 into $5,000. Smart money is definitely the bet here, tending to make a lot more money, and that's probably where this guy really gets a lot of his juice, and how he has made, according to him, nearly $3 million last year alone on Polymarket. So this is the last thing I did want to talk about. Yeah, and then here we have Elizabeth, what's her fuck? This is maybe not a great sign. Typically, if you know the curse of the Forbes cover overall, obviously we have Sam Bankman-Fried, who was the founder of FTX. He is now sitting in jail. And then we have Shane Copeland, who founded Polymarket. This feels more like a curse, but here's the thing, Elizabeth and then Sam were on special issue or special editions, whereas Forbes is more it says a daily cover. I'm hoping that that really saves him here from this kind of curse of embarrassment. Um, Going over to Kalshi though, because typically if you've been here for a while, because Polymarket was not available in the US until, a week ago, we have used Kalshi, which is the predictive market platform that had the proper regulation in the US. But over the weekend, Kalshi was hit with a nationwide class action lawsuit over illegal sports betting. So we need to discuss kind of the difference between sports betting platforms and predictive market platforms. So, first of all, this class action lawsuit is alleging that there are 7 people who have filed this case in the Southern District of New York on behalf of thousands of potential class members. And they claim that they were deceived into losing money. And the main thing that they claim is that because of market makers on these platforms, and I'll get to the explanation of this in a minute, that it's essentially the house of Kalshi, like a casino, has stacked the odds against the little guy, and therefore they are not able to win or win as much based on these market makers. So the main difference here between a sports betting app like FanDuel, DraftKings, one of those, and then something like Kalshi or Polymarket is that when it comes to sports gambling, first of all, that is highly regulated in every single state in the US. It's highly regulated for a lot of reasons. Throwing the game, making sure that certain people do not have access to bets, or that they shouldn't be. It's a federal crime actually to legally affect the outcome of a game that way, and be betting on the outcome. So sports betting apps though, the odds are set by a bookmaker. A bookmaker is someone like in Las Vegas that says Alabama is favored by a touchdown or 7.5 points. So when you look at a betting app and you see like your team minus whatever and how many points, that is how much they're favored by. And those odds were set by a bookmaker. I'm sure they use some type of algorithmic number or math equation or some kind of information where they get damn close. When you take a look at the scores, and there's a lot of controversy around this, 2.5 points plus or minus, and then the team will win by 3 or 2 points, and they fall right on that line. Consequently, there's kind of an uproar about the bookmakers. Maybe there's some kind of collusion between the refs, whatever. You can say we've been rugged or duped. But either way, those bookmakers in Vegas, they get super close to what the actual score is a lot of the time. But they are the ones setting this precedent of what the prediction will be based on the score. They do change that information based on information that comes out. If the coach leaves, if somebody gets hurt, if a quarterback can't make it, the weather sometimes ends up affecting whether or not they think the score will be what it is. But regardless, these are human beings setting a particular standard and the scores of the game. Market makers, on the other hand, for predictive market platforms, are just providing liquidity on either side of a trade so that there is enough money available for people to be able to cash out and create the trade, or volatility basically, but to create that back and forth with. So you are not actually betting against the house. It is just providing enough funding essentially for the trade to even happen in the first place. Now, granted, market makers don't typically provide liquidity unless they're going to get something back in return. So they are probably making their own money somewhere, but they are not the house stacking odds against the little guy. When you think of sports betting apps like FanDuel or DraftKings, you can think of legitimate and very standard and typical sports betting, just like you would with a bookie. and just like you would in any other like Las Vegas. When you bet using call sheet, poly market, whether you are, you know, whether you've placed a bet on a sporting event, the weather, what Trump will say, or the national dog show, what you are essentially doing is you are participating in what is more like the stock market of future events. You are betting on odds that something will happen, and the way that the bet will skew and go up something like, 90%, let's say, or there's a very low chance of something like this happening. There's a 9% chance that there's a ceasefire in Russia. Essentially, what this is reflective of is a crowd feeling. So, what the majority of people feel about this for the predictive event here. And then you have something like comments to actually show this going on, and the volume will tell you this, and you can see over time just the general crowd feeling. If you go back to, for instance, the feeling of the election a year and a half ago when it was Trump versus Biden, the predictive markets were showing Trump would win by a landslide against Biden. Then they introduced Kamala as his running mate, and Biden drops out, and the odds become more neck and neck at that point. And then, we know what happened. But essentially, all of these predictive market platforms is a truer representation of, based on the volume, but typically a crowdsourced feeling and outcome of what a potential event will be. So, um, yeah, I don't think that this class action lawsuit holds water. I also think that they don't seem to understand, the actual effect of or they don't seem to understand exactly what they're working with when it comes to Kalshi. Also, it's a free market. You have the potential to go use DraftKings if you think that Kalshi is not fair. It's not like somebody's forcing you and this is the only one and they have a monopoly on sports betting in the country. So, um, I don't think that this class action lawsuit is going anywhere. I was also surprised to not see on Kalshi a predictive market about whether or not Kalshi will win this lawsuit or not. So there's an opportunity there. Go ahead and make that predictive platform bet. Um, I also, tinfoil hat time, just a little bit. I thought the timing of this was a little weird. At the same week that Polymarket gets full approval in the US, Kalshi itself gets hit with a class action lawsuit. That's convenient. That was convenient timing. I'm not saying that that was targeted, but I'm saying the timing is convenient. So anyway, all right. So let's get to a couple crypto bets and kind of some adjacent news. So this is the only predictive platform bet of its kind that I could find on Kalshi. There isn't an open one, just kind of flailing in the wind with no time cap. But last week, Texas began buying Bitcoin as part of its own state strategic reserve. So Texas, you win this yes bet here of what state will create a crypto reserve this year. Um, all of these at this point are a no. There is not that much volume on this, but essentially, as some of the commenters pointed out here, the legislative sessions are done for the year. Florida pulled their crypto reserve bill. It's not coming back before next year at the earliest. I do think, and I'm not sure if it's on here yet, but I do think Missouri might be one of the next ones to start this. Um, but there were several states like Utah, they end up they ended up passing their crypto bill, but they also in the process nixed the idea of a strategic crypto reserve and just buying crypto outright as a state. So a lot of these had legislative elements where they went along and they said, well, you can add it to your pension, or, firefighters, state employees, they're allowed to add crypto to their pensions. But as a state creating a strategic reserve, they were not necessarily looking to buy crypto with, state funds. It must be nice to live in a state with a government surplus, though. I'm just going to throw that out there. California. Um, All right. So the real predictive bet here that's trending, kind of two things here related to crypto and news a little bit, is the Fed decision in December. This is actually up 5% from when I saw it this morning earlier, that we will have a rate cut. And then the other one here is who Trump will nominate as Fed chair. This is not necessarily a guarantee that this person becomes Fed chair. By the way, Jerome Powell isn't out yet. So I don't know like what what this bet is, but um he does expect the next Fed he expects the next chair to pursue lower interest rates. His chief economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, is widely viewed as the leading contender, though other finalists include Christopher Wallace, Michelle Bowman, Kevin Warsh, and Rick Ryder. Um, Again, Jerome Powell hasn't gone anywhere, but that's nice. This is like saying I want my next car to be a Mercedes when really nothing's wrong with my current car and it's still in the garage. It's fine, right? So this is just some future planning, I think. And let's see. Here's another thing. What will Powell say during his December press conference? Um, Uncertainty at least 3 times. Probability layoff. AI, artificial intelligence softening. Yeah, they also ended up canceling the jobs report, I believe, last year or last week, and that's not a good sign, but okay. And then over to Polymarket, we'll just go take a look here through this. Let's go over to culture because this is also so fun. All right, so Spotify madness has definitely taken over the predictive market platform in large part because the highly anticipated, for no fucking reason at all, Spotify Wrapped is coming out, I believe, this week. So there are still a couple debates on when this is happening. Um, I think, let's see, let me type it in Spotify. There's the top artist on Spotify this year, which I believe Bad Bunny supposedly has this on lock. But the Spotify Wrapped listings are things like top album, top artist. So here we go. When will Spotify release their Spotify Wrapped? Before Wednesday, before Thursday, before Friday. Yeah, obviously they would need to get on this, but there's got to be a ton of people that know the answer to this. It's not like there's one person in charge of this decision. But either way, the Spotify Wrapped tends to be kind of a crowdsourced feeling as well of top songs, top artists, your own personal reflection of maybe what you were going through this year. If you were in your feels, you were playing a little more, of a particular artist, maybe some Adele, I don't know. And it just kind of shows you a statistical breakdown of all of the stuff you were listening to. And this, for some reason, is huge predictive market fun. Let's see, the runner-up top album on Spotify this year, Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish, Mayhem, Taylor Swift has got to be on here. Yep. Again, despite the Billboard Top 12, which I'm never going to let go, I just don't think the album was that good. I'm just saying. I'm saying it. This might actually be kind of up there, the Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. This kind of sticks out to me, but yeah, here Bad Bunny's supposed to be the leading artist at the Super Bowl. He's supposed to perform in the Super Bowl, and supposedly he is the top artist of the all of Spotify for the year. I don't understand how he doesn't have the top album, but he is the top artist. That's a little sus. Let's see, top album for the year. Okay, so here's the crowdsourced feeling is that Morgan Wallen's I'm the Problem will be the top album. Well, this is Spotify US. Let's see. Top song on Spotify this year. Okay, here we go. Top album on Spotify this year is Bad Bunny's. I don't know. I brought this up to other people on the BSCN team and they were like, "Who the fuck is Bad Bunny?" Again, maybe maybe we're just blinded by our frog in the well ism here. But again, I don't know. I just don't know if it's that popular. All right, let's go to some other. Let me take this off. There's always some Netflix bets, and I'm kind of surprised that Stranger Things is not dominating this narrative here. So here we go. US Netflix show this week. I think overall it would have to be. If anybody has seen the Stranger Things. Oh, let me go to this. And I don't know if I can, let me see. Millie Bobby Brown salary Stranger Things of the cast. So I stumbled across this and I really like couldn't believe this here. Okay, so Millie Bobby Brown's per episode salary is reportedly only okay. $250 to $350,000 per episode. But all of her co-stars, and I'm talking the guy who plays Mike, Will, Steve, Nancy, like all of them, they were all making at least $700,000 an episode. Hopper, all of them. And then I think David Harbour might be the guy who plays Hopper, 1.18 million. I don't understand this because she is Elle. Like she started as 11. She's the most recognizable character from this, and I think arguably, aside from like Winona Ryder, and the guy who plays Hopper, like the adults, as far as all of the kids are concerned, she has had the biggest career after its premiere in 2016. So this honestly, it did surprise me. Millie Bobby Brown's per episode salary may surprise you. Yeah, it did. It shocked the shit out of me because I don't understand. Maybe her agent just had no idea how to negotiate this, or their agent had no idea, you know, how much anyone else was getting. But she got hosed. I don't think she's hurting for money. She married John Bon Jovi's son and they live on a farm and they have a bunch of animals. But like, you know, compared to everybody else and compared to the way that she is such an integral part of the story, this is a wild snub, in my opinion. That's crazy. And so far from what I can see, it's not like she is in more episodes than everyone else. It actually looks like everybody's pretty equal per episode, that, you know, people are getting screen time pretty evenly. But it does look like her part of the story, and I'm not going to spoil anything for anybody. It does look like her part of the story is, you know, it's got its own arc. She does a lot kind of alone, almost alone, or with just her and Hopper. So, wow, I am very surprised by that. Might be time to get a new agent. I don't know. Let's see, some fun tech and science stuff here. All right, so last night was the biggest travel day of the year, I think, and apparently it was awful. I saw so many posts from people saying, "Do not fly the Sunday after Thanksgiving. It is a mess. Your flight will be delayed. Make sure you have a direct flight at the very least. That way you don't have to make a connection." Lots of pissed off people. Just the traffic to even get into the airport was like 2 hours long. Even if you took the train into an airport, that was still absolutely bananas. So, Yeah, just kind of a messy travel day. And let's see, the TSA average check-ins from December 1st, so that starts today. I would say significantly less, actually, than this past week. But the smart people who waited until maybe today or maybe tomorrow at the latest to fly home from Thanksgiving weekend, you know, they're gonna account for this much. Also, what if your flight got delayed, canceled? You're still gonna have to figure out how to get somewhere, right? So, you're gonna have to check in at TSA. So there you go. Um, will Meta release an AI model that isn't open? Um, let me see. The last one I wanted to see here is a Christmas gift, and then we'll talk about I don't think. Um, my favorite thing would be to look for what the top gift is of the year. I remember being younger and it was like a Tickle Me Elmo, an NES, back in the 80s. That was like a huge one. Um, I would love to know what the predictive markets think the top gift for kids is this year, if there even is a clear front runner, because I don't know. I don't think there's a new gaming system coming out, so that's kinda out of the question, but either way, you know, that should be fun. If you guys are looking for some type of little gift guide, we can also talk about that on Wednesday. So, I am gonna wrap this up. As usual, Mondays are just kind of a quick and dirty 30 minutes. We talk about some predictive markets and general news updates, and, we really get ready for the week. Crypto, not doing great. I think I had a meme saved, and, yeah, it's, somebody saying, "Stop giving me your toughest battles to Jesus," and him saying, "How are you still alive?" And the caption is, "Crypto, right now." And that's generally how we feel. It's rough out there, guys. Make sure you set a stop loss if you are in some crazy trade, and make sure you never risk more than you are willing to lose. As always, nothing I say is financial advice, and you should always do your own research. Even throwing something through Grok might save you a lot of money, time, and heartache. Um, we will see you on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. I believe this week I'm going to make Marry Me chicken gnocchi soup. So if you are down for like a slightly like tomatoey chicken soup, some nice like spongy gnocchi in your soup, please join me. We will be live Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, and hopefully I'll see you guys then, and we'll have some crypto trash to talk. I will see you guys. I'm Jackie Dutton. This is BSCN. Let her cook. Bye.